without we'll proceed straight on to the next set of presentation and invite Mr. Babucarr.
Thank you, sir. And also thank you to the previous presenters. They've made the job easy for us. Mine is going to be a brief presentation on success stories. We've heard about the legal framework. We've heard about the operational guidelines. And we've also been taken through the policy by our able brothers and sisters from the ministry. So ours, on the side of the private sector, would would now present two success stories that has happened elsewhere in two countries. One is in Cameroon and another one is in Brazil. That of Cameroon would have to concentrate on the energy sector, and that of Brazil will have to concentrate on ports and harbors. Why energy and ports and harbors is because going by the PPP policy, energy and infrastructure are key priority areas. And this is what informed our choice for the presentation. To begin with, you already know the Chamber of Commerce, established in 1967, is the voice of business for the private sector in the Gambia. Can we go back, please? Okay, so that's it. The first success story is in the country of Cameroon. The sector is energy. The name of the company or the corporation we are looking at is Sonel. Sonel is the NAWEC version of Cameroon. That is the electricity provider in the country of Cameroon. Moving forward, I think you're going a bit too fast. Excuse my voice, I literally have to struggle with it. By the late 1990s, the government of Cameroon came to the realization that the rate at which electricity is being produced in Cameroon will surely not meet the expanding demand, given the rate at which demand was growing. That is the late 1990s. The population then was at 16 million. And connections to the national electricity grid only stood at 452,000 connections only. Moving forward. The connections were mainly concentrated within household and industry. Moving forward. Alukam, which was an aluminium smelter in Cameroon, which still exists, consumed 1/3 of all electricity produced from the grid, meaning there was just about some 66% remaining for the rest of households and industry in the country of Cameroon. These were some of the challenges why Sonel was not able to function to the expectations of the growing demand for electricity. Poor revenue collection. The revenue collection structures were very poor. And low tariffs. The tariffs that they charged were not cost reflective. Currency devaluation issues, administrative inefficiencies and bureaucracies. And as a result, Sonel, as you can see, faced a growing debt burden, which further hindered it from meeting its expected objectives. Moving forward. In response to this situation, the government of Cameroon took some reforms of the power sector, and this is what they did. AES, they opened an international bid, an open, accountable international bid for able and capable firms, private sector firms, to tender in their interest to partner with Sonel and make things happen. AES Corporation is a US energy company, acquired 56% of the company by injecting $71 million of investment for a 20 years concession to generate, transmit, and distribute electricity in the country of Cameroon. Subsequent investment after this 71 million exceeded 500 million euros, just to show you the capacity of a willing and able private sector player in terms of investing in a viable sector. The concession was later renegotiated in 2006. PPP agreements can be flexible. They are not rigid. And an additional $340 million in addition to the initial 71 was then again acquired. Now, at the time, this was the largest privatization of a utility company then. Moving forward. Sonel, with the involvement of the private sector, AES Corporation, who had a wealth of experience in the energy sector, was now able to transform Sonel from a loss-making corporation to an income-generating enterprise. What were the results? Moving forward. From the 452,000 connections for a population of 16 million and growing, this number, within 7 years or within a decade, was increased to 792,000 connections, which indicated a 75% increase in connectivity. And then again, let's go back, please. And then again, this figure, or the rate at which they were moving, doubled the average for sub-Saharan Africa, meaning they were doing better than the average rate of electricity connections to the grid in sub-Saharan Africa. Moving forward. So now what is the expectation? The expectation for Sonel now is, with the involvement of AES, by 2021, they expect to increase, to add an additional 750,000 connections to the grid, in addition to what has already been added. So that has been the success of Sonel in the area of energy, which is equally relevant in the Gambian economy. Then we go to the second and final success story, which is in the country of Brazil, is in the area of infrastructure, and specifically container terminals, ports and harbors. Now, as part of a reform program, which is a commitment that actually this time came from government, in this realization, it happened in the port city of Pernambuco. And this whole process was facilitated by the International Finance Corporation, who have a wealth of experience in PPP arrangements worldwide. In fact, even though it's not PPP, they had a hand in the establishment of Reliance, the microfinance institution we have here in the Gambia. So moving forward. The International Container Terminal Services is a private sector company. Again, through an open and competitive tendering process, was able to secure the bid to invest in the ports of Pernambuco. It was a 30-year non-concessional agreement, meaning after the 30 years, this private company will now hand over the entire project to the government. It becomes the state property after 30 years of operation. Moving forward. The state, at the beginning, they sought for a minimum lease payment, meaning there was an amount they were requiring to get the ports up and running. And that amount was what? 51.5 million US dollars. That is what they wanted to get this up and running. But what happened? Moving forward. They ended up having a minimum lease payment of 175 million US dollars. Now, how did it happen? They had International Finance Corporation at their side, and also through effective negotiation skills from the side of the government, guided by the IFC, they were able to get a minimum lease payment of $175 million, which is 244% more than what they were looking for. I mean, 244% increase in money will make any man happy at any day. So therefore, the smiley face. Moving forward. So between less than a decade, $80 million out of this investment that they've injected over the years was invested in these areas. They increased the human resource capacity. Of course, in this day and age, we're talking about ports and harbors, you cannot forget the ICT. And then equipment, sheds, and other things that were needed to ensure effective delivery. So they identified priority areas and invested a chunk of the money to get things up and running. Next page. So now, less than 10 years still, after the concession, which is 2008. Now you'll be wondering, 2008, why 2008? But I'll tell you at the end of the presentation briefly. 300,000 20-foot equivalent units of containers were shipped or are being shipped through the port of Pernambuco, this new port, annually, which was not the case before. This saw a 500% rise from what it has been before private sector investment came in, or before the government opened up and encouraged the private sector to come and partner with them. Now, what does this figure mean in the country of Brazil? It now means that over 5% of all containerized shipments pass through this particular port that came to be through public-private partnerships. Moving forward. In the area of employment, from the first year of concession, they registered 172 employees. Before 7 years down the line, we are looking at 417 well-paid jobs. In 2008, then again, in terms of concession fees and taxes and all other revenues that accumulated to government, we are looking at 14.8 million, close to 15 million US dollars, which has more than doubled over the last 8 years, coming to 2016. Now, what are the expectations? The port expects to ship 500 million 20-foot equivalent units of containers by the year 2031. This has been the successes of Brazil, the city of Pernambuco, in the area of ports and harbors. And Cameroon, that has been their success in the area of electricity. In the Gambia, I believe we can do far better. Thank you for your kind attention.